Okay, today we will do the finalizing the course by visiting what you have learned for the whole semester, and then we'll have a group discussion for the two topics. So we'll do a group discussion first, and then we do course summary, and then later on I return your two essays. I've already marked. I've already finished marking. So, and I need to talk to some people who have not submitted, particularly the second essay, at the end of the class, after the class, you know. So, we'll do round table discussions. Group discussion. So I ask you to make a team with four people. I ask you to make one group with 4 people included. 3 or 4 people. Probably one or two group maybe probably only be able to have 3 persons. So 3 or 4 people to make a team. Okay, go ahead. Okay, when you're all done, forming a group, I'll discuss the paper. In which way you proceeding first? Further, okay. Three or 4 people. 지식, maybe you can move to 원식. 3 or 4 people. Okay. So it's the instructions what to do. So there are 2 topics. So you discuss for the 2 topics, and then you make a summary for each one. Okay, and then we present. Okay, I'll explain later all together. But anyway, you can have a look. So it's a direction for how to do. 3, 4, 4. Are you okay? Okay. 4 together?
Yeah.
And you, 현직?
한 명이 더 올까 이렇게 팀을
5명 하려고? 5 all together?
좀 많은가요?
No. 3 or 4. So one person arriving later should join with a team that has only 3 members. So we will have a group discussion for the 2 topics. The first one is about environmental sociological research. So far we have learned about 10 environmental sociological subjects. Sewan, you have to join either here or over there. So one topic, first topic your team will discuss about is what are the environmental sociological topics or subjects by which the interrelationship between human society and natural environment can be addressed. So except for the one we've already learned, we've already covered, through the whole semester for this environmental sociology course. What are the sociological topic, environmental sociological topics? So you will have to find out through the group discussion, okay? Understand? And the second one is a practical one. Is greening soil possible? And if so, in what ways? And if not, in why? Okay? So greening soil is a very good vision for the 21st century. You know, will be very attractive. You know. So, but will that be possible, or if not, why? So you spend about 40 minutes for the two topics, and when you are all done, you write down your summary from your discussions for the two topics each, and then we will make a presentation proceeding to the platform, the table, the desk, right? And for 5 minutes for talking about the two topics that you discuss. Clear? Any questions? Any questions? So the first one is that your team will discuss what are the environmental sociological research, except for the one we have already learned through the whole semester. There probably are the environmental sociological subject, right? So your team will discuss to find out what can be. What would that be? And the second one is how to green your living hometown, your living town soil. Okay? Go. Okay, so up to 10:20. Up to 10:20. And when you submit your discussion paper, you write down your team member's name, department, so and so on. It's already full. You have to go there. No. Sorry, I didn't see her.
Yeah, we didn't know.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see you, so that's why I asked. Question? No? You can begin. If you're not feeling good with A, you can start with B first. Maybe I give you one more. Would you be sad if I pick one member from here and then to make another one team? Would that be okay? I pick up one person from the teams that have 4 members and to make another team. Would that be okay? Okay. We are going to have another one team by picking up one person from the team that has 4 members. Will it be okay? Okay. So anybody can join her. Maybe you can sit in here. Maybe here. Maybe here. We are going to make one more team.
One more team?
So from the teams that have 4 members, by picking up one person.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we have one and because we are 7 teams, so only I was thinking to have 8 teams, you know.
환경이 저쪽으로 옮겨가면
Okay, so and who will be joining here? One person more.
Yeah, we did, right?
I want to ask about the first question. So we have to come up with another new topic except the topics in this class, right?
In this class?
I want to make sure my understanding of this topic. It means we have to come up with another new topic except the topics in this class.
Not new topics, but except for the one that we already learned.
Except the topics in this class, we have to come up with a new topic.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I guess they have a relationship.
They just burn it to get the gold out of it, and then that pollutes the air, and that's it also hurts people for so maybe.
Which one is this? This one. This one.
All this stuff in your phone can be reused. So like I saw like a documentary of this, like there were people there, like it was like a big landfill and all fours of
Do they have to discuss only about one topic or
No, two topics.
two topics? No, I mean just
Okay.
one topic and just
Understand.
discuss this, or just like several topics and talk about them.
Maybe
shortly?
two
and give short information.
그냥 환경사회학적인 토픽이 뭐가 있나요?
1번이 그러니까 어떤 환경사회학적인 주제를 하나를 골라서 그걸로 그 인간 사회랑 그런 내추럴 인바이러먼트를 어떻게 어드레스 할 수 있는지를 설명하는 거예요. 아니면
어떻게가 아니고 여기서 지금 찾으라는 거는 뭐냐면 토픽을 찾으라는
여기서
거니까.
배우지 않은
그렇지,
다른 환경
그렇지. 예.
토픽 제시만 하면은 되는 거예요.
예.
근데 그러면 너무 대답이 단순해질 것 같아서
그럼
그게
투
여러 개
토픽.
하나, 투 토픽 제시 이게 왜 그런 주제가 될 수 있는가 이 정도로 설명.
네네네. 맞아요.
Everything together, or you have like
It costs money. So with e-waste, it just in the States it just goes in a dump half the time, because if you want someone to take your phone in the States or like your laptop or your computer, you have to pay to pick it up, or like you go to the place and you have to pay to get it
compared to that in Korea, we have like in each apartment we even have the little mailbox that collects all the batteries, and they do that way even
And it's not possible to do people.
Is it going well?
Yeah, alright.
Okay.
It was kind of interesting for me for the glasses, like if you put the glass into the trash, it just crashes. It makes it crash inside. Like like in our like garbage cans, like if you just put in a bottle of glass. So I think maybe and then like even those the apartment guards, if you put let's say metal into like something else, plastic, they all separated. Those like products and that. Those guys.
No discussion?
We're just doing research.
Okay.
존자? 농촌에 필요한 존자 이런 거.
I was really struggling more like when I don't because I know I'm going to they're reducing the number of trash cans on the street. And one of the reasons was to since it didn't look nice. Like at the streets, there were trash cans on trash were piled like nearby it, and that kind of people didn't like that. And then that was
How's it going?
So we are discuss about the second topic. Our understanding about the greening city is that we will throw away less garbage.
Sorry?
Throw away less rubbish. Throw away less garbage, and I don't know if we consume less resources, fewer resources. It means a greening. Less consuming.
Rice. You mean
Less.
what is it? Rice?
B.
Rice food?
No, less.
Less consuming.
Less consuming is a green way.
Oui, yes.
It's okay. Okay, we'll go on discussion.
Okay.
Amsterdam was like a city of bikes. Like there's no pedestrians. They're all on bikes, and they were the laws of bikes first, and then so and I was and then the thing that I realized in the city itself, there's no big hill or anything. It's all like, but when you ride the bike, little hill feels so big, but still there wasn't. But compared to that, in the case of Seoul, like to make the bicycle thing efficient is kind of, I think it's important. There are a lot of mountains and there are a lot of, well, even some cities, they cut so many meters, so like it's quite impossible.
So we have to submit this paper in this today.
Yes, after presentation.
After presentation.
So you write down team members' name first, and then you write down the summary from the discussion for each topic.
Just summary.
Summary, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So you present, the two topics, and then you submit this paper to me.
Okay.
Okay?
그러니까 예를 들어서 우리가 지금 먹고 있는 그런 뭐 야채들이나 고기 이런 게 아니라
Maybe since it was in America all about cars. If you don't have cars, it's quite possible.
Yeah, if you live in the city, New York, you can get everywhere by the subway. But if you live outside the city, America, you need your car because many of your grocery store is about 10 drive
For the transportation in Europe, at least in Amsterdam, one there you just go on the road, just 2.5. So that's like almost double the price here. Well, they have the buffer so that they're all students don't have to pay. So since I was born, I had to pay. And since it was so expensive, I just I'd rather buy it. And like, people were thinking that they're forcing us to breathe in the city. And it was so expensive. So yeah. I would just rather buy it. Before, but now, like for the air conditioning, like if you go into a big company or big bank, they all have a sticker like our building goes over air conditioning, over air conditioning. And if it doesn't, we make sure it doesn't go down until 24 degrees Celsius. Which is more than traditional. So they regulate.
Maybe not transportation because it's just mountainous, but I think if you start using like solar power energy, if you start really involved with like she said, having companies show up their power certain time, especially if the big companies do it, everybody's involved. Because I've noticed that all big companies that have like a big influence. You guys are right, you're saying. Pretty much drink tap water all the time. Unless like you live in an area where like Michigan right now you can't drink tap water. Like I noticed that a lot of people use like plastic bottles. And I was wondering is that
Some people say that this tap water, you know, like, I feel some people they don't think it. I think it's cultural things. Maybe the Korean people think that. And it was kind of interesting because like some people with tap water in Europe, they drink anyways, I guess so we, well, it's not that healthy because it turns out in your body, but there they just drink it because, and I drank it too when I was there, but anyway, anyhow, but Korea, I never saw any readings or articles about that, like tappers here had those kind of materials in it, but we still don't drink it. There wasn't like, you know, articles like this, like, yeah, that's tap water too, so like the government kind of made it like a campaign to like, it tastes good, so you can drink our water fine, but still people don't drink it.
one way I would suggest drinking salt, but I think it's basically drinking a lot of water friends here think it's unsafe to drink tap water. And I drink the grandma, so I was drinking all the time and doing tap water. I'm not doing it. I drink it at home, it saves here.
I think it's political. It looks like a culture shock for me. And I was like, oh, it's a senior lecture. Professor, let me get a sip of water. We have to say right here the blackboard, and he would just do that. No, he was just keep on teaching me. Wow, that was a big culture shock.
We walk around at least I can't there's like it's like a water fountain, but it's not particularly the water fountain. You take water, you have water bottle under it, and it refills it. So you're not like it's really encouraged not to use a plastic bottle in our hands. because of that, like, it's viewed as a even though it's safe. So I was wondering if they did that in so many places, but like at least on college campuses, it's really
Yeah, but college can't.
How are you? How's it going? Well? Not bad?
Yeah.
Okay. We have 10 minutes. No, 30 minutes. Okay. Good? No problem?
But maybe we cannot presentation for 5 minutes. It's too long.
Why for the two? Or subject one and subject two? For 5? Too long? Why? Why is it too long? So you spend 2 minutes and 3 minutes, or 3 minutes to meet you, or 2.5, 2.5.
Okay, I will try to do that.
Okay, good luck. Still researching? Good? Okay.
그러니까 분석하는 게 아니고 그거를 재활용을 한 거잖아요.
Somebody?
Like when you start seeing little rocks forming. Yeah, like I want to, like I reuse my plastic. Because when I first got there, I bought it. Like I did it in Korea.
서울시가 하고 있는 몇 가지 노력
This you are from Beijing University?
No, it's
you know?
normal university.
Beijing Normal University? Okay.
I was drinking this. Okay, wow. And you know, like this.
And how do you say normal in Chinese? 师范. So Beijing 师范.
大学.
Huh?
University in Chinese means 大学.
大学. Okay.
Hard, thick stuff right in the middle. At first I was like, is it milk? Everyone there is like, our water is safe to drink. They're all they pay for tap water in response.
it is safe naturally if you're gonna drink from like a river that's clean, it's gonna have some minerals in it. It's just kind of off-putting when you start seeing rocks forming in the water. So that's why you should like clean your water every so often. Let it sit like within soap and stuff. But like I was just at home and
But I thought the tap water thing is it comes with a cultural thing. Culturally, it's not like a shocking thing. I think it would have a lot of good environmental impacts because there's going to be less plastic bottles being used. More could be possible.
Maybe Xiang, you join DCU? Join DCU? DCU.
Maybe that's what we say. We thought that in transportation way is impossible, but it's something
관악구 금천구 구로구에
Yes, yes.
정전을
it's not fast. It's like on the highway you go much faster. So the thing is, it's okay when you're driving in like a small town and you go fast. It's very common for people to actually. Yeah, it's very. My mom has 40. So it's common. America, so people want an electronic car. And then if you plug it in, it eats away electricity. It's charging a car battery that takes a lot of charge, takes a lot of energy to charge. This one's not as common in America. I think particularly the biggest reason they drive the lowest speed you should be driving the highest. So a lot of times they try to be so hybrid cars here. Well, first it's becoming more active about
You are from Hong Kong? China? Both of you are from China. And you too? Beijing? No, Shenzhen? And you are from Hong Kong? Okay.
I understand that.
No, it's like in the States. It's like almost
Almost to finish?
Yeah.
Okay.
서울에 무슨 자체가 바뀌겠다라는 말 그대로 된다. 거의 버스랑 병원 수준이니까.
Mine is made of metal because it's made of cheap plastic.
This one I have to bring by ourselves, or I'm not really.
Which one?
This one, I'm not really
The
understanding.
first one? You asked this, I already explained to her many times.
Oh, really?
Okay. Thank you.
It was free.
Don't like American households. You guys have like long cars. I met a lot of Americans.
Sorry? So, almost finished? Yeah. Okay.
중국에다가 쳐서 영어로
You need more time? You need more time or could you? 5 minutes more? Okay. You need more time?
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah, because she's
You just arrived. Okay. You need more time to finish? Yeah?
Oh no, I guess that's like, I don't even know what your system is.
How is it going? It's almost finished or you need more time to
I
finish?
think we're pretty much finished.
Okay.
There's a lot of answers and stuff.
Good. And this one? Almost finished or you need more time? More time to finish. How is it going? Sorry, how is it going? You need more time to finish or you are almost done?
No, we need more time.
Okay. Can spend another minute because most of them they need another minute.
Because it's not like, you know, I live in like, I guess she is pretty much not like movie world. Not that like But like that's the reason why I'm in America. Like it's and like my brother's talking about now, state count to get like
Okay, we'll have another 5 minutes to finish. So all are asked to finish by 11:25. Okay, 11:25. So, have you studied in UK? Have you studied in UK? No, because your writing style will be British style for USA for secondary. Anyway, okay. How many topics have you come up with for the first one?
5 topics.
5 topics. Maybe you can think of another one more.
Okay.
See, I always learned like GIA for
Then my mom could, and we were just like stuck there. What should we do? What should we do? Because we just, the car wouldn't go. We stopped on red light, and then we pressed the pedal, it didn't go. The car just went down. We had no car. It just went down. It was old engine problem. We were just like there. Oh my god, and we were just like doing this.
Yeah, the mechanic shop's very It's like washing it at night. I washed it before. It doesn't look that bad. No, it's not. It's rusting in the pad over here. But I just like had it washed because I was like, my car's disgusting. But it's really good, but it's old. But it's like, it used to be very useful constantly for now.
So like the e-waste is your cell phone getting
Okay, 3 minutes left to complete.
Because the process is like I think 12 hours they use that rare.
and just like continues on making a lot of sense.
Yeah, and a few days, but not.
Wanshik, you are second year or 4th year? It's a final year for you?
3rd year.
Your 3rd year, so you will be here in the 2nd semester also.
No, I'm going as an exchange student this 2nd semester.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Japan.
Do you speak Japanese?
Yeah, I'm learning it.
Where? In Tokyo?
Kyoto University.
Kyoto.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, if you ever visit Tokyo, I have a colleague, Japanese colleague from Tokyo University.
Tokyo.
He is a postdoc. Postdoc. So he finished his PhD in Hosei University. No. Sendai. No. Hosei. Meiji. Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. Do you speak Japanese?
Yeah, pretty well, I think.
すごいですね。 Kyoto is very nice.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I think
Very nice. My favorite. Okay.
And then I got for this. So I have to make 2 contracts. I don't get that one. That part, I did that, like that one I had to return that as one.
Okay, 1 minute left to finish. 1 minute.
저한테 일단 일본어 서적도 필요 없다 해서.
Okay, finito? Finished? Okay? So we'll spend 5 minutes for each team to present the discussion outcomes for the 2 topics. So who to begin with first? Which team to begin with first? Volunteer? Oh, very serious face. You know. So you use my microphone, and then you stand up there like me, I have done always, and you spend 5 minutes, okay, to deliver what your team has come up with for the 2 topics. Okay, which team to volunteer to present first? By force or by volunteer to begin with? Or by recommendation? Do you have any team to recommend? No? 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 Maybe your team, because your team has first finished. No? Okay, so. No, you have to come up.
Okay. 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 For subject number 1, we first thought that we need more emphasis on the environmental and sociological impacts of nuclear energy, because we dealt with nuclear energy and the energy sources, but I think we need more emphasis because it's a very important topic in Korea right now. For example, we stopped operating the nuclear power plant at Kuocw. And so for these reasons, I think it's a good topic. And also we thought that we need to evaluate the efficacy of artificial rain as solutions for drought and its impacts. And we also seen that we need to evaluate the impact of domestic animals management and human society, because in Korea we are suffering from avian influenza right now, and we thought that it was from the crowded management environment of the animals. And although the chickens and ducks are dying, it's not only limited to the death of the animals, it creates like price risings in the human society. So we need to find solutions and impacts of the domestic animals management. And we also thought that we need to evaluate the impact of industrialization for both the developed and developing countries, because the developed countries that are industrialized are basically like forcing off their pollutions, and those dirty industries to developing countries, and if this process is continuous, there are doubts that if the developing countries now can really achieve green society. So as a human society as well, we need to see the impacts of the industrialization. And we also thought that perception and communication of environmental disasters on the SNS media is intriguing, because there was the essay topic for it, but we did not exactly really learn about this topic thoroughly in the class. And since this is an information society and SNS media plays an important role in the form of the human society, this can be also linked to environmental sociology, we thought that. And we also think that we need to learn about in this class we mostly learned about the environmental sociology of the urban areas of human society, but it's not only the urban areas that have environmental problems, even suburban areas or rural areas also have problems. So we thought that we need to learn all of these different human societies as well, not only for the urban environments. And moving on to subject 2, our group thought that greening Seoul will be possible, but with many difficulties, and we thought that we need various regulations to achieve these. First, to solve air pollutions in Seoul, we thought that vehicle regulations were crucial. For example, we need regulations on idling of vehicles on the streets, and drivers need shift systems so that not all the cars will go onto the streets. And we thought that we need ban on diesel engines. And we also thought that a big problem in Seoul was waste disposal, and some of the severe waste disposal problems that Seoul is suffering is littering, because if you see on the Korea University nearby, there are many houses that students live, and the streets are very littered, it's dirty. And we thought that we need more trash bins on the streets. And we also thought that disposable cafe cups make a big problem for the waste disposal in Seoul. So therefore, we thought that we need to create more environmentally friendly material for cafe cups. And we also thought that Seoul needs to expand more green space. And some of the ideas we had was creating green space on building rooftops and using railways that are not used anymore, such as in Seoul, the railway between Seogang University and Mapo. There are green developments happening over there. And recent example of greenizing was near the Seoul station. A place called Seoul Row 7017 was created, but still it needs more improvement. And that's all.
Okay. I'm so impressed. Okay, so would you introduce your team members also?
Okay, our group had 4 people. First, my name is Lee Won-seok from Sociology Department, and there is Im Ji-sik from the Korean Language Department, and there is Jung Ji-won from Sociology Department, and there is Kim So-jung from Sociology Department as well.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And then second team to present. Very good, very good. I'm so impressed. Okay, second team, would you? Would you?
Can we all?
Sorry? Yeah, it's the same menu as he did. Very busy day for you.
Hi everyone. My name is Haewon, and I'm a sociology major student, and this is my teammates. Maybe introduce your names.
I'm Imhyuna from Media Department.
Yeah, I'm Sunyoung from English Literature Department. I'm Damaris from the Psychology and Sociology Department.
So maybe I say the first subject and someone says the second. Okay. Well, I'll introduce our first topic, which was like other potential environmental sociology topics, and our group focused on waste. And at first we started talking about recycling, and since we all know that Korea is really good at recycling, since it's a mandatory thing and we all thought that the recycling efficiency in Korea is better compared to others, but we started to talk about, is recycling actually really efficient? Because one of our groupmates introduced the case of Germany, where now Germany used to have a really good recycling system, but nowadays they kind of, how should I say, ease the procedure. So they would just divide their recycling as normal waste, one big recycle, without dividing it into plastics or other materials, and just glasses. So we were saying, and then there were some on the newses that are saying recycling itself, like the procedure of recycling itself, is not really efficient. And so we were starting to thinking, is recycling really efficient? So this was one of our questions that we wanted to share. And then we began to talk about e-waste. Well, e-waste stands for electronic waste, and we thought this is a global problem that could be possibly talked about in environmental sociology. So e-wastes are like the waste smartphones or those electronic materials, and and these kind of wastes are usually shipped to a developing country to take care of the waste. So in those developing countries, they'll have a landfill of electronic waste that people try to dissolve the materials to get like the gold and the usable materials out of it. And we thought this had both sociological and environmental impacts. So those people there who take care of those wastes, they don't have any safeguard materials or anything. So I saw a documentary that there was this one big pot of boiling chemicals. They will just put those electronic waste in it, so bad chemicals comes out, pollutes the air, and those liquid that they used, they will just throw out in the ground, and the ground soaks it, and it kind of pollutes the nearby rivers and stuff. So this is like a really big environmental impact, and people there are suffering from health problem because of those procedures of dealing with e-waste. So yeah, with a possible subject for sociology is like to talk about more global pollution chain and waste. Yep. And second subject, would you? Sure.
Okay. So for greening Seoul, we thought that transportation was pretty hard because we already have a subway system, and it's not easy to bike in Seoul because it's very mountainous. So you can't have, like, certain areas you can bike, but right here in Korea University, it'd be really hard to bike up to the dormitories. Like, I struggle to walk up there every day. I can't imagine biking. But we did think of some ways. We thought about green energy with like eco memberships. So one of our group members mentioned that there are some like eco membership clubs where you have like a card, and if you go purchase environmentally friendly things, it measures how much carbon like dioxide that creates, or how much it makes, or how much like CO2 emissions it makes. So if you're more environmentally friendly, what ends up happening is they put like rewards in your card or more money so that you can go spend it on things, and they put like deals so that way it motivates people to reduce their carbon emissions. This could also apply to maybe like electricity too, and AC. We also thought about big companies have a lot of influence in Seoul. So we thought about maybe if big companies started pushing back on how much electricity they use and maybe shut down their businesses at a certain time, it would motivate other people to do it. So like, let's say all employees like leave the office at around 8 o'clock and then completely shut down the building and the electricity so that they're not wasting everything. It would motivate other people to do it. We also talked about air conditioning. Before, like, people used to blast the air conditioning and the doors would be open, but we think now if they close the doors and they regulate air conditioning so that you can only put it to a certain temperature, it would help reduce some emissions. And we also talked about, for me, I noticed like a lot of Koreans use tap water, don't use tap water. And I asked if it was unsafe, and people, at least my group was like, no, it's safe to drink. It's so, I've noticed that there's a lot of plastic bottles everywhere. And on American college campuses, we just have like water fountains where we can refill that has a filter. But I noticed like in Korea, people just use plastic bottles. So we talked about maybe if we could make it more environmentally friendly and talk about how tap water is safe, and maybe have more water fountains lying around so that people could fill up their bottles of water instead of purchasing new ones all the time, that it would help reduce plastic waste. And anything else you guys want to add? That was it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, maybe one more team before we have a break. Okay, maybe one more team to present. Which team? B, your team. B, in low, your team. Can I have the discussion?
For the first question, we talked about two topics. So the first one would be the human impact on animals, which we didn't really cover. So, for example, we were talking about how to protect endangered animals and more about unethical and illegal farming of such animals such as foxes and raccoons. These are just some examples of animals that have been hunted for their fur. And we also feel that government and environmental organizations can educate people on such unethical trade and encourage people to use more man-made products instead of real fur. So for the second topic, we were talking about pollution, specifically water pollution. Even though we covered a bit about pollution, the cause, but we feel that there's a lot more human impact on pollution. So, for example, there are companies that dump chemical waste into water bodies, and oil spills is a big problem that actually takes millions of dollars to solve. And even tourism such as diving actually affects sea creatures and the water bodies like the sea by making it dirtier. And for the second topic, we gave two reasons why it was possible to green Seoul and why it wasn't possible. So the first reason for why it is not possible to green Seoul would be that the population size in Seoul is too big to make any significant change, such as having more parks or planting more trees, because housing and working areas are needed since Seoul is an economic center of Korea. And for the second reason why it is not possible is that reducing the usage of cars is quite difficult, as public transport systems are already very crowded and many people already are using public transport system. So even if you raise the taxes for cars, people may not stop using cars. And we have two reasons why it is possible to green Seoul. The first reason would be that we can green the buildings in Seoul, for example, by introducing more energy-saving appliances such as light bulbs or having solar panels on buildings, since there are many buildings in Seoul, especially high-rise buildings. And secondly, we think that as electric cars have more research done on them, people in Seoul will start to use it more, and soon it will become a norm. So it will help in the air pollution caused by cars. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
질문이 뭐지? 그냥 읽게.
Okay, cool.
Should we introduce ourselves? Or? My name is Minjiu, and 안 나오는 것 같은데.
I'm Jiwon from Sociology Department.
I'm Sewon Park.
Is the microphone on?
Yes. About the first question, we thought of three kinds of subjects. That first one is about animal rights. That the environmental sociology can focus on ethical treatment on animals, such as animal experiments and ways of treating domestic animals. And the second topic is about environmental consideration in terms of art, such as fashion. That in terms of fashion, there are lots of overproduction and overconsumption, but people don't consider it seriously because they consider buying clothes reasonable in the aspect of aesthetic value. So we thought that in the area of fashion or art, people really not consider about environmental aspect or conservation. So it can be one topic. And last topic is the new form of family, that such as animal companion become a new member of family, and a lot of industry began to appear which is related to animal companion, so that now the formation of family is differentiating, that not just the traditional form of family, the four member of mom, dad, and sister, such as, but one member of family or the family with animals or other companions. So that kind of topic might be interesting. And
about subject 2, we think greening Seoul could be possible if many environmental friendly policies are established and implemented well. Energy saving and using public transportation and so on were suggested as eco-friendly habits for many years in Korea, but they were not practiced well and didn't show much effects because there were not enough benefits for people to endure inconvenience. Also, existing policies are mainly focused on individuals' efforts on conserving environment, such as saving water or energy campaign, turning off unnecessary lights, using tumblers, and so on. So, as environmental issues include all activities of government, companies, and individuals, comprehensive policies should be developed.
So we have to focus on the government policies. So on the level of government, they have to disperse the concentrated economical functions of Seoul, because in Seoul there are so many economical institutions are focused. So that floating population could be decreased. Also, they have to make a policy which is related to using transportation through economical incentives. For example, the policy which is about cost of transportation using fees when there is a severe fine dust could be effective policy. Thank you.
Very time control, from 12 to 1. Thank you. And then, next team, 지현, 현직.
Hello. Here is my group members. My name is 정인, 신정인, and he's.
Hello, my name is 정현직.
And I'm 백지현.
Yes. So for the first topic, we talked about two major environmental sociological themes, and the first one was the freegan, and it's the combination of the word free and vegan. And while vegans avoid consumption of animal productions, freegans avoid the consumptions of basically everything. So they do not buy food or buy products to consume, but instead they use those wasted goods and the garbage cans so that they will not they will not consume anything new. So this is the way of relatively recent way of protecting environment. So we talk about the limits of this way and whether this this freegan way of living style could actually contribute in saving environment. And the second thing we talked about was alternative food source, because the current food source systems are not really efficient in environmental friendly way. So we talk about the insects as the alternative food source, as insects are. There are many numbers of insects in the world, and they have high food conversion rate, and they do not produce much greenhouse gas while being transformed into food, and they are also very health nutritious as they contain high calcium and low fat. So we talked about these two themes in environmental sociology. And for the second subject, we talked about the actual policies that the Seoul city is actually working on to green Seoul. The first policy was 따릉이. I'm not sure if you have come across any of these public bicycle rental stations all around Seoul. Actually, there were not many of these stations all around Seoul, so people were not able to use it efficiently. But recently, Seoul City actually added about 20,000 of these stations so that people can actually rent bicycle systems, bicycles from these stations when they have to move short distances, so they do not have to use transport systems that actually emit any greenhouse gases. And also we talk about the reusing old urban structures such as 7017 서울로. This is actually the transformation of the old bridge that cannot be used as the transportation system anymore. And so Seoul City actually transformed this bridge into the walking kind of park. They so enabled people to have their yeah, so they can actually just walk around the park, and this was kind of meaningful in saving and greening Seoul, because actually reconstruction or tearing down our old urban structures actually cause a lot of environmental deficiencies, such as it will produce a lot of dust and fine dust. So we talk about these two urban policies that actually contributed in greening Seoul. That's all.
The renting of bicycle
Yes.
Is it available now?
Yes, it's available. Currently available. It's all around Seoul, and I think it's just the nearest one is just around, just behind the Pomuncheon. It's along the Pomuncheon. Yes. Thank you.
And then next team, Susan. Your team, you will do the presentation.
Just say your name. Just say your name. I'll do the speech.
Hi, my name is Cha Sun-seok, and
I'm Tanya. I'm Quilla. So for the first subject, we went with first of all, I think an interesting thing would be talking about the tribes that sort of live in forests and whatnot, and their sort of relationship with the environment sort of thing, because they have a special relationship with the environment compared to just everyday people that live in cities and whatnot. Also interesting would be nuclear power disasters and how this relates to animals and radiation and whatnot, how it affects the environment around it. And yeah, third interesting, we have a lot of things, by the way. Another one would be oil spills. So there's been a lot of oil spills, the BP oil spill and whatnot, and it's sort of had a massive effect on the ocean life and whatnot, because it's terrible. And next thing would be hydraulic power. I don't think we really discussed this, to be honest. It's sort of an interesting way to create power with waves and things. You put little floaty things on the waves and it creates power, and it's sort of just, you don't have to pay for it really, it's just natural and environmentally friendly. Another one is, so I think it'd be interesting more to talk about climate change in its own sort of way, and how it affects the rising sea levels, which affects little islands and whatnot. Some of the ones near Australia are actually almost being taken up by the water, so that'll be interesting to talk about. And then also the global warming to do with animals and stuff, because I know a lot of animals and things are being affected by that and whatnot. And also habitat destruction, so of course people cut down trees and whatnot so they can get wood to build things and stuff, but it also kind of destroys the homes of animals. And yeah, that's all we have for the first question. And then for the second one is greening Seoul possible? We weren't 100% sure. We think at the moment probably not possible, but in the future it could happen if they were pushed enough to sort of do it. We chose some relatively easy ways to do it, which is taking out more renewable energy, I don't know, wind farming and stuff like that, and maybe solar panels and stuff, because there's a lot of buildings and factories and things like that. If you put solar panels on top of them, you can save a lot. And of course I know Seoul people do a lot of public transportation and whatnot, but it would be helpful if there's more sort of carpooling and stuff, so there's less cars on the road, less pollution. And yeah, so also a really important one for Seoul actually, because I noticed you guys have a lot of single-use plastic containers, and even samples in beauty shops and whatnot just give you tiny little containers, and it's just a bit of a waste. So I think if people started using more reusable containers, and as the other group said, water bottles, there's too many plastic water bottles, so if you reduce that, or sort of just bring in a lot of renewable, reusable or recyclable ones, I think that would help quite a bit with pollution and stuff. And also, as one of the dudes in our group said, is because a lot of the pollution comes from China, sweeps over and stuff, I think to really fix the problem here, you need to sort of make sure China fixes their environmental issues. Yeah. And I think, yeah, that's pretty much what we had.
Okay.
It was a lot, sorry.
Thank you. And thank you. And our 70 to 77 going to present. Okay, Lanya? Nina?
Hi. So my name is Lena.
And I'm Soman.
I'm Yellow.
You have to use the microphone.
I'm Hijin.
For the first question, we have discussed about like two subjects, and two of them is cultural heritage and indigenous people, and how their effect on the environment as well. So for the cultural heritage usually is properties and sites of archaeological, historical, cultural, artistic, and religious leftover, I guess, from historical stuff. And we were talking about how like there's a lot of culture heritages tourist spots, and like they're turned into tourist spots for people to visit and everything else. And we talked about how like the cultural heritage's impact on the environment, how like if there's like any disasters happening and stuff like that, like there's a lot of like pollutions around that involves them, like fine dust and stuff like that would affect the people, and like how it's like turns to be, I guess. And to visit those tourist spots is a lot built in for the people, and there's like people waste a lot. So like you usually have like stores inside, and like from those stores you can buy products, and those products can have like be thrown wasted outside and could be have effect on the place, and that's part of the pollution. We also talked about how like transportation to the sites, like buses and stuff like that, those all like will contribute to like polluting the place. And we also talked about the indigenous people. Yeah.
Okay. So for indigenous people, they're usually having a lower economic, social, and legal status than people living in urban areas, and their life are more vulnerable if their lands and resources are extracted excessively or transformed by the outsiders, such as governments or like the mining companies and so on. And yeah, so also their customs and lifestyle are highly related with the environment, and they depend on the environment a lot as well. So for example, they obtain food from hunting and shifting cultivation, and shifting cultivation is a kind of agricultural practice that they spare enough time for the land to recover and rest before the next cultivation, and it's a kind of sustainable development or sustainable way of extracting the natural environment, the natural resources. And for accommodation, indigenous people usually build houses with leaves and woods, and they make use of different natural resources directly as well. So they are kind of part of the ecosystem, and they make good use of the environment. Once their life are disturbed, the environment, it also means that the environment is disturbed as well.
So
So for the second subjects, we both agree that it is possible to green soul, and we define greening soul into two ways. The first one is greening the environment of soul, and the second one is the greening of the habits of people living in soul. And so let's talk about how change the people's habit first. So I think it is very possible to improve our habits because we can use more public transport to reduce the emission of the greenhouse gases. For example, the government can also do something to encourage the use of the public transport. For example, lowering the public transportation fare, and as well as increasing the tunnel fee so as to reduce the use of private cars. And secondly, we observe that in Seoul, many people like drinking coffee and using some disposable cutlery, something you will dispose after you use it for only once. So we think we should do something on it by discouraging the use of those disposable goods. For example, maybe we can provide the discount to the customers who bring along their own who bring along and use their recyclable containers, so it can reduce the waste disposal. But we also think that there is kind of some difficulties that we have to encounter during the process, because in Seoul, which is the capital city of Korea, we also strive for a kind of convenience and efficiency. So maybe in reducing the waste disposal, maybe people would like to have a more convenient and fast life as well. So for the following comes how we can green the environment of Seoul.
In the dimension of environment, lawmaking is very important. So nowadays, many people in Seoul feel that environment problems are serious from, for example, fine dust disasters. Therefore, we think that make some laws for better environment is needed, and many people would agree it and force the government to do that. So, for example, no to enlarge the smoke designation districts, provide more transportations, and make more parks would be admitted. Also, it contributes to improve air quality and solve the problem of jobless. So it is very good way for environment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our last thing.
Hello everyone, my name is Lai Suing.
My name is Disha.
In our team we have Yoon Ye Tim and Puchom. Yeah. And we are, for the first question, our group come up a few ideas for future economic for future discussion. The first one, I think we can talk more about technology and environment, like new technology, how to absorb CO2, this kind of new technology. And also in this topic we can talk about the undeveloped country, how they can import these kinds of technology because they don't have money. Yeah, something like that. The economical justice. And also we think we can talk about the economic development with environmental subject. by using life cycle analysis. Life cycle analysis is a theory that analyzes the thing you use when they make, and then use, waste, something like that. Then by analyze the product, you can know what you are, the things you use, how is it destroying the environment. Also, we think we can talk about the education and environment, like how to encourage people to protect their environment, or something like that.
So, according to the second question about how to achieve a clean city or a green city, several steps have to be taken. First is that the government or the media organization have to increase people's environmental protection awareness. That means people can consume less productions which are not really necessary. The second is that our garbage classification have to be done in a more specific way, so we can reuse more and throw away less productions. For example, we can use less throwaway chopsticks or bowls in our restaurants, and our clothes can be put in some place so others can take away and reuse them, including our furnitures. Some are also can be used in a more specific way. The third way is that in terms of our transportation, we can increase the price of cars or petrol. So at the same time, people who take public transportation, such as subway or bus, should be charged less. And the last way is that we can plant more trees and place more gardens in public places, so the city will look like more green or environmental friendly. But if to be honest, I don't know where the pollution of this city mainly come from which place. If the air pollution or something like that is from China or because of the wind or the location, it will be harder to solve this problem, because I don't think our country, China, will solve the problem in a short term. So maybe it will be more difficult. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, I've learned how to use a microphone, all the time the stick to here, and then anyway, I can use it this way. So I've learned a lot from your discussion outcomes, and I will use for the next term to prepare environmental sociology course, particularly the one that mentioned the animal issue, whether it's domesticated animals or pet animal or wild animals, so on. That attracts my attention to study, and some other issues also. Okay, so thank you very much, and then we will move on to course summary briefly, and then I will return your two essays, right? Okay. So very briefly to revisit what you have learned, and so the course aims can be made in three ways. The first one is to discuss and to introduce environmental sociological concepts and theories. And I hope you remember those concepts and theories that are all aimed to explain the relationship between natural environment and human society. And that is the second one, the course aim, to demonstrate how human societies relate to natural environment. And for these all the aims, sociological perspectives are emphasized. And one of the team pointed out that this environmental sociology course only mentioned the urban environment, but one of the reasons why it is so is it's based upon the beginning of environmental sociology. Basically, in the beginning, the environmental sociologists, including Ryle Dunlap and his colleagues, they somehow wanted to criticize the modern society based upon industrialization. They came with the birth of industrialization, and so industrialization, that's the living setting is urban environment, right? So the reason environmental sociologists focus mainly upon city or urban environment rather than the agricultural society or fishing village and so on. But we can expand anyway, But for all the aims that you point out, for the environmental social topics, we need theories and concepts, to concretely understand those interrelationships between natural environment and human society in an urban setting, in an agricultural setting, in a fishing village setting, and so on. We need the sociological concepts and theories, right? And the second, and then these figures I showed in the beginning, so natural environment consists of natural resources, ecosystems, and environment quality. In terms of the place that have a close relationship to human society. And when you talk about human society, you can think about the politics and the economy and the culture. These are the fundamental the components that consist of human society, right? So, and you can go deep into in more details, because for natural resources there are thousand lists of natural resources, and you can for ecosystems also, the list goes long, and so on. So you can go into in more detail to know the relationship between natural environment and human society. So the 21st century will be challenged how to be balanced for human society, to be balanced with the natural environment. So you can think of many terms to describe the well-balanced human society, like environmentally friendly, environmentally considerate, environmentally smart, environmentally creative, environmentally innovative, environmentally cooperative, environmentally equitable, and environmentally sustainable. There can be many terms to describe the vision for the 21st century that aims to balance with the human society with natural environment, right? Okay. What else? You have another terms to describe. You have another terms. Environmental friendly, environmental sustainable, these are the terms that have been popular in the academics, in the business, in the politics, and so on. And another thing I made myself, So you can make yourself too, right? So you create one term, concept, and then if you are able to explain and to convince other people who are listening to you, and then you become very famous, Okay? That's the way you become famous. Think about Ryle Dunlap, why he became very famous, You proposed the theory concept for the very first time, so ahead of other people, and then you convince, and then you explain, drawing upon the concepts and theories you create, and then you convince other people, That's the reason, that's the way you become famous. So here are some vision, for the Norwegian, for Norway. They aiming to have no cars in the capital city Oslo by 2019. So maybe you can visit Oslo in 2 years' time later, whether there will be no car or still some cars in Oslo. Oslo is very clean, but very expensive city. The living cost is very, very expensive. Anyway. And there's another vision for Australia, the Green Party, Australian Green Party, they want to have increased the share of renewable energy sources by 2030. And then it's the Paris Conference of Parties 21. So after the Kyoto Conference, every year there's a meeting. It's called the Conference of Parties, So last year, they put the campaign. It said to end the fossil era, and that means fossil fuels they are aiming to disappear from our modern human society, and it's an energy transition to use only renewable energy. And it's a South Korean vision, with the tackling the problem of fine dust. The Seoul mayor, Mr. Park, he proposed the policy measure saying that there will be free public transportation when the fine dust level reaches peak. That will motivate people to use public transport when it is free of charge, so you don't have to pay. It's a good policy measure. So, recently, just last month, there's a civic meeting in Gwanghwamun Square, Gwanghwamun Square. So there was one specific policy measure proposed, and then when the fine dust level reaches peak, the metro and bus or taxis, I'm not quite sure about taxis, but that will be free of charge, So these are the visions that for the 21st century for human society to make a balance with natural environment. And it's for all the countries in the world, whether they can come up with good policies to reach the aims for society to be sustainable in terms of supporting the basis, the nature, Okay, so what I want to say from all your discussions, what I want to say is whether it is possible to continue enjoying the benefits from industrialization, the convenience, the prosperity and so on. But at the same time, to protect natural environment, whether it's possible or not. To keep continuing the benefit that humankind has achieved from having industrialization to having modern society, and then not giving up those benefits from industrialization, whether to also can have benefit the natural environment, whether we can have two purposes can be reached out, or we have to choose one, sacrificing the other, That's the very important question to ask. Okay? So now, I think that, okay. Okay, so now I return your essays, okay? I return your essays. I was meant to have at least one paper comment, having my comments for the two essays. I was trying, but then I just wasn't able to do for all the people. So instead, I made some English corrections, and at the end of the essay, I put some very short, notes. When something coming up from my mind, I just put down some notes. But I didn't specify schools in your essay. So I return your essays. 임현아, 현아. 나연, 카밀라.
여시형, 지식, 풍척, 탄약, 풍척, 탄약, 지원, 원석, 회원, 시니어, and 필라, 리, 밀리로, 원선영, 순서, 아마리스, 허정, 호빈, 사나, 현지, 희진, 한소만, 세원, 준영, 정인, 지우, 리시우, 원영, 지환, any person who is close to Ryan and Hobin so that they can. Okay. So, I need to talk to several people at the end of the class, today. Jihon, Yoshi, okay. Jihon, and Yuan Ting, Pungchok, Yun Wei, and Jishik, and Tanya, Lina. I need to talk to those people at the end of the class. Okay?
You said my introduction is missing, but it's right here.
I put it's not. Okay, I was not made to make full comments, but some of them are very good, very exciting to read, But one thing I want to make very short, strongly, when there's a editing format that you have to follow, you have to, right? For example, there's editing format, whether you submit your writing to a journal, to whatever. If they ask you editing format to follow, you have to follow. Okay? Otherwise, hold on. Otherwise, it can be somehow the reason for your school, your writing not to be valued that much, So, content should be fine, but then if there's some established format you have to follow, you have to. Okay? But that's one comment that I want to make for everybody for next time you prepare your exam. Okay?
What are the schools mean? Because on one of them is like 21 to 8. Is this split by 5? Very confused.
No, I cannot hear.
The numbers.
That doesn't mean anything. I just count how many people submitted. That doesn't mean anything.
Then what is that school?
I said I didn't specify schools. I didn't specify. I just, Okay. So next week there will be a final term exam. So there will be 4 questions. And the same time from 11 to 1 o'clock, right? From 11 to 1 o'clock. And as you did for the midterm exam, you choose 3 questions and you give best answers as you can, right? So it's a 10 points for each question. From 11 to 1, but then there will not be any limitation upon the pages you write. 7 pages, but that's fine. 1 page, 2 pages, so that's fine. But then there will be time limitation from 11 to 1 o'clock. Okay? And then where you have to study, which subject you have to study for preparing the final term exam? Which subject you have to study, you have to prepare. From the one we learned after the midterm exam, right? So there will be four questions and you choose two. Any questions about the final term exam? No? Any questions? Okay.
Can we know the score we have for the essay?
Sorry?
Can we know the score of the essay?
You will know the final score, at the end of the semester. Okay? Any other questions? No? Any other question for the final term exam or essays also? Okay, at the end of the class, the question I named out, I asked you to remain in the classroom. I need to talk to you about the second essay. And so we will conclude our environmental social course. So thank you very much, for all your active participation, good turning up, and good study and study hard. So maybe we collect more together.